Hey guys, how are you today? We have a little treat. This is a OnePlus model phone. This is a OnePlus 6 that we will be changing the LCD on today. Even though it's not cracked, you can see on the top here, you probably can't really see it here, but you see that the LCD is broken. So this was slammed on the ground on accident, and that's it. So and we got the part here. I am doing this. They sold this with the frame and everything, but the customer liked the color, and the only frame they had was black. So I decided to just go with the plain LCD, which is a little bit cheaper, and it's actually a lot easier instead of having to gut the whole phone. Samsungs are a little easier to gut out, but there's a lot of little parts here, and it's probably better just to do it this way. It's going to be a little more difficult to glue down, but we'll take our time and do it. So for the sake of video, I kind of already preheated this back glass, so be careful because this can break. So you just kind of have to start wedging your Sesmo in here. I kind of really heated this up to like 80-90 degrees, and what you do is once you start getting this in there, you know, it's going to be a little more difficult because I kind of like preheated this already. You're going to start to pry open the glue. Okay, you have to be careful, don't dig too deep, because on this side there is a fingerprint recognition cable. You can break that. Okay, so as you're coming through here, you're going to start to cut them. You're going to have to kind of keep heating this up a bit because it will re-glue back itself. So you want to make sure, and again, be careful over here because you don't want to dig too deep because you'll break that cable. So as you're going, you're going to want to start trying to lift that. So little by little. You don't want to crack this thing because it looks like it's glass. So there you go. As you open this up, little tricky parts right here too, because this is like an adhesive here. It's kind of stuck there, so you want to be careful. So you don't want to dig deep there because then that'll get caught. Okay, so now that this is open, I'll be careful with this. We're going to start taking apart some pieces here. Let's put this to the side. Try to keep everything in order. So you put it back. But this is going to be a little bit easier than taking everything out, like the battery, and try to move everything over to another frame. I like doing the frame repairs because with the LCD built on, because everything is like a little more you know, glued down from the factory, but that's not always the case, you know, because a lot of times these pieces are coming in refurbished with the frames, and then the glass is already popping off, and you got to glue it down anyway. So usually with Samsung, it just depends. I have some trusted places that I purchase from, and they're always like factory sealed, or wherever they're coming from. The glass is like really adhered to the frame. Okay. So we want to take that off. We want to disconnect this battery. So I'm going to take all these plates off. Take all these off. Try to keep everything in order. There's probably some hidden bolts here. Peel that off. There we go. Try to keep all these bolts in order because sometimes one of them might be longer than the other. I'm not sure. They're all looking like they're the same. Sorry, I don't have the fast forward tool, so I'm gonna hit pause. Okay, so we got all the bolts out. Okay, so now we're gonna start to lift. Well, let's make sure there's no bolt hidden underneath here. Oh, like there was one. Start ripping stuff out. It doesn't come out because it's bolted down. Okay, there we go. Everything was like in order. See if this should pop up gently. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we're gonna Let's disconnect that battery, which is, looks like it's this one right here. No, there's the battery. Okay, disconnect that battery. There we go. Now let's disconnect this. We can put this to the side. Oh, careful with your LCD. Keep that LCD safe somewhere. Okay, so now, instead of like ripping everything apart, we're gonna take this infamous sticker keeps sticking out. Okay, so now we're gonna take the speaker. So if you had to change the speaker, well, guess what? You know, like let's say the speaker was, well, that's what you have to do. Take this part out, put the speaker in. Okay. If you have to change the battery, obviously you'd heat this up, peel this out, put the new battery in, boom, battery repair. Same thing with the cameras. This will pop out. This is the back camera, one piece. Pop the new one in. You're done. Same thing with the front camera. Take this piece out. Same thing with the speaker. So all these are, you know, this is we're doing LCD repair, but in case you had to do some other stuff, you know, it can be done. Okay, so now we're going to disconnect our LCD down here. Okay. Alrighty. So now what I like to do is I like to test this first. I want to make sure that this thing's going to work before I install it and glue it down, and it turns out it doesn't work, and then, you know, I might not be able to return it because they already installed it. So let's connect this. Usually, again, this is going to connect this way, so we can feel safe by connecting it this way. Let's connect that in there. Be really careful. You don't want to bend pins or anything. Be careful with this. There we go. Okay. I got it in there. Let's put something here to hold this up on this side, just in case it drops or something. Okay. Now let's connect that battery back on. Let's hit the power button, which I think it's on this side. So just carefully lift this up. Let's press that power button. Let's see if there's any juice on here. Okay, cool. All right. Battery's too low. Okay. Let's try something real quick. Just because we want to test this. Make sure this is working. Let's see what happens. And you know, you're gonna see that this is gonna be a lot easier to do this repair, like 1%. Hopefully it'll turn on with the 1%. Let's try this. Pressing the power. It doesn't come on, we've got to wait a few minutes. But yeah, this is, you know, we've never really fixed one of these before, 1+1s, but to me this phone kind of looks like those Alcatel Fierce phones, just like a more expensive version of it, but it's like the same setup if you ever fix one of those Alcatels. And same thing with like the BlackBerry, that QZ1 phone or whatever that was. It's like the same kind of setup. Okay, so I don't know the pattern code on here, but we can go to the emergency screen just to test. Let's kind of give it, let's pull that back, a little bubbles. Let's see if these are working. Okay. Everything seems to be working. I didn't really ask the customer for the pattern, but we'll see. But okay, so we're gonna hit pause here. So we're gonna take this part and then we're gonna heat up the front, and I'll show you how that comes out. All right. Okay, so we preheated this about 85 degrees. Okay, so it's nice and hot. Always wear your safety goggles, which I should put on right now. They're actually Arnett sunglasses, polarizer. I put a link. They're really cool glasses, but I usually use those. Okay, so now we're gonna get between this plastic and this glass here. So we want to get, that's where we want to get into. Here we go. And at this point, I don't care about breaking the LCD because it's already broken. But we want to get, because there's a piece of plastic rim, there's the metal, there's a plastic rim and then there's the glass, and we want to get this Sesmo between the glass and the plastic rim, the bezel I should say, because that's where we're going to put the new one in, so I don't want to scratch that up too bad. So here we go. And you probably need to use a little more heat. You can use a piece of, like a business card. Get in there. Sometimes you got to break off the glass first as you're doing this. Pop this out like so. Again, sometimes you gotta get between the glass and the LCD just so you can start opening this up, and then you can get underneath, but I think I see that open here. Not yet. If you see that, yeah, there it is. I'm gonna get behind the LCD, which is right there. Now we can see. Now you don't see the card anymore. Okay, so now pick this up a little more. Now we can start slipping that in there. There you go. It's a little bit better to do it that way. Because the other way you start cracking everything up and it becomes a big old mess. Same thing with this side. And then you're going to see how easy this repair is going to be. And just be careful. Oh yeah, on this side here, that side. And this doesn't have any light sensors, but you just want to be really careful. And you're going to see how easy that's going to pop out. Watch out for that. Ear speaker. Just heat it up. It's always better to be careful. And I can start loosening this up. And it doesn't see, yeah, there's nothing. There's no like light sensor cable or anything. Like a Samsung. I wonder if I'm going to be able to squeeze this in there. Maybe. Just gotta double check that. Should be able to. Yeah, should. There you go. Perfect. Okay. So there you have it. Boom. Took that off. Make sure this little mesh stickers. Sometimes there's like some dirt in here, so you want to kind of clean that out while you got it open. You definitely don't want to cover that. I don't want to take this off completely, but also don't want anything. There you go. Just some little extra sticker, probably. Adhesive. Okay, so now it seems to be fine. That's where the little speaker hole goes. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now make sure all this is nice and clean. Takes like a flat tool and just run it along there. Make sure there's no glass, because the last thing you want to do is crack the glass putting it in. So make sure you clean all that. And if something needs to be bent out, like that plastic right there, you can bend it out. You don't have any surprises later installing this. And you got, and this one, you know, there wasn't really too many bends, but like if that was bent in, you know, you got to bend that out. This is almost like an iPad with those plastic frames. Okay, so we can kind of do a test run to see if this will fit in. Another thing that I like to do, but this seems to already have like tape on there covering up those little things, so that looks fine. Usually like putting a little Kapton tape. I might just do that because sometimes, you know, if you don't have some like insulation or some, you know, something peeled off, and now those little metal chips or those computer chips are touching the body, now you have some like kind of static. So, and then after you've installed it, forget, it's too late. So I'd rather just kind of do it now and not worry about it later. Try to cover them all up. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, look, I'm out of focus here. Sorry about that, guys. I know somebody's gonna come and do the work in the thing. I gotcha, but it's not always that easy. Okay, there you go. So that was nice and covered. And maybe we'll put one more just for on these. Get your blade, which I don't know where it is, where I went. And what I did with my blade. I don't know where the blade went. Lost the blade. Okay. And then we'll take this. And then we'll take this up here. Okay. Should be fine. Okay. So now make sure this camera hole doesn't have any fingerprints on it. Okay. We're going to pop this in here. Make sure that goes through that little hole carefully. Make sure that goes in there. This is going to be a trick. This is going to be a trick. I'm going to get one end in and get your tweezer, kind of pull it through. Let's see if that's the trick. It's always something that you're going to learn. I don't think this thing has to be pulled up. If it went in one way, it should go in. So we're gonna have to try to squeeze that in there. Should go in. Just gotta be really careful you don't break the LCD. So I'm gonna fool around with this in a little bit and let's see. Okay, I think I got it. You kind of have to like open this up and start to wedge that in there. You gotta like do it like this. And try to wedge that in there. Because it looks like it's kind of going through. Just a little bit. See if we can try to pry that in there. It's like it's got it coming on an angle. You can see that. The tweezer is acting up. Let me try to grab another tweezer. Okay, back. So let's see. This is not the best tweezer. You know what? I got another tweezer once. Good old handy dandy Tecton pack. This is my go-to tool for tough jobs. This tweezer has been with me for I think about 6 years. And I'll put a link to where you can get these tools from. Sometimes the tips bend a little. Okay. Yep. Just want to pinch that. Make this easy. That was going to be a lot easier than I thought. Just caught on something. There we go. Perfect. Just had to be pushed out of it. Okay, we got it. Okay. So it was just caught on some little thing there. All right, great. So just so it doesn't fall out, I'm gonna connect it. Okay, so it's connected. And let's see how that's gonna fit. Let's pull this plastic off. And one thing I do like about, oh look at that. You gotta make sure. Probably gonna have to pull that out. Let's connect that. Okay. Gotta make sure. See this right here? That doesn't look right there. So let me look at, oh, there's something we're missing. Missing a couple pieces. Oh look, probably gonna have to transfer. Let's not leave it like that. Too much pressure. We're gonna have to transfer a couple of these pieces here. Let's heat that up. Okay. We're gonna transfer that. It's a little speaker mesh to this side. Oh, not this way, this way. So one thing I gotta do. Was this way or was it the other way? I'm confused. One second. Okay, there we go. I think. believe it's that way. There seems to be some other ring. Worst case, we can do something else for the mesh. In the meantime, this looks like a little ring here. Looks like a little rubber ring. And then, guess what? This piece looks like an oval. See that? This is a circle. That's weird, right? Well, and this is the model for that, so we're gonna have to just leave it like that. Because nothing came out there. Sometimes you gotta do a little. Okay, so we're gonna do a little cosmetic design here and just cover up that corner. Okay, and now it's gonna look a lot better. So I like that piece that was showing through. And that was just some plastic. Okay, that looks a lot better. Okay, so this thing's gonna have to get glued down. Pretty much that is what it's gonna look like. We're gonna have to really figure this out because this piece either's got something in there, maybe it's got some plastic. Oh, look at that, it's like a piece of glass or something. That could always be the problem. And if you're seeing this, now let's try it. Let's see what this should fit this way. The old one. Yeah, it should fit perfect. Okay. So should fit perfect here. Let's try it now without that piece of glass in there. It's almost like it doesn't want to fit in there. It's like the hole is not an exact fit. See that? Let's try to flip it the other way. You don't want to force this in there because it's, yeah, see, it's not even fitting right. Okay, so now we got to get creative. We need something. I mean, you really don't need anything, but you know, it's always better to put a little piece of something in there. If we had an old iPhone mesh, that could work. One second, let me look for one. Okay guys, I'm back. So what I did was I took an iPhone 5 little mesh sticker kind of deal, and I kind of cut part of it off, and I don't know if you can see that, but at least it creates sort of like a little blockage from stuff getting in there, dust and stuff, you know what I mean? It's better than nothing. Okay, now that that's in there, let's see if this thing will close properly. And there you have it. Okay, so once we glue this down, it should stay glued down. Once we glue this down, it will stay glued down, and hopefully it'll work. Alright guys, thank you again so much. Let me just connect this here. The battery's off, and we'll glue it down with B7000. Power. And then we'll test it. And we're going to use this B7000 to glue it down. But I just want to check one more thing. I have to get the customer's passcode to check the proximity sensor. See this light thing right there? We're going to make sure that that's going to work properly. I don't know what their passcode is. And see how that light's on right there? Oh, I think that's the charging light. Let me see. Yeah, perfect. Okay. That just seems to be the charging light. Let's charge it. And we'll test the proximity sensor, but I'm going to have to use a little paint. Maybe I'll make a follow-up video. I'll show you how it works. Alright guys, thank you again so much. Have a great day.